She was like the kindly black grandma that I always wanted, but never had.
Sit! Didn't I tell you to sit? Sit down! Sit down!
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact and it's totally a science. Go ahead and look it up if you want. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're jumping into I guess I'll call it Tales of Neckbeards. It actually comes from my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads. We all asked for it and here it is, unintentionally becoming a pimp, which should be pretty cool. So I figured I'd deliver it to you guys as hot and fresh as I could. We've still got the GoFundMe for Ramtide going on. Thank you guys so much for the generous donations yesterday. We are still very far from our goal, but I'm sure anything that you guys can give helps put him a little bit closer towards having a home to call his very own. So as my thanks to you, let's go ahead, jump into this thing, see what we got today. First, we'll get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into some of this Tales of Neckbeards cringe. Luca's Guide to Unintentional Pimpery. Yeah, who hasn't been there before? Just walking down the street, somebody hands you $20 for that piece of ass. Yeah, why not? I'll take that. Hi, ReddX. Hi, Luca was a race car. Race car, not driver. Just a race car. Hello, Reddit. Hello, Reddit readers, guys, gals, and all the colors of our beautiful rainbow. My ladies and gentle thems. Your humble, maybe, OP, here with a tale of my time before my terrible term in Tulsa. Oh, the alliteration is so good. Delicious, I eat it up. What should this tale be? One of cringe? One of sad? One of crime? I'm honestly not sure. If you're new to me or my tale of Mudbeard, you can find the saga here. I will also throw that link in the description. We have one more part to go on that. As soon as I get the thumbnail, I'm gonna pull the trigger and we can call it done. But this will be a nice little interlude in the in-between times. Are you all caught up? No? Well, too bad. Your ticket is punched and the train is rolling. Here we go! Onward to cringe. This is about my time in Memphis. Lily, my paramour for much of my life, lived in a small suburb outside of Memphis. I moved there in a young, dumb, adult attempt at being close to her. Yeah, you do some crazy stuff for love, man. I flew around the world twice. I spent a couple months in the Philippines, then I went back home, then I was like, God damn, I can't live without that chick, and then I flew back to the Philippines within like another month. Luckily, that one worked out. The thing with Lily, not so much, but you didn't travel as far, so maybe win-win, kind of? We were an item online for a long time. We met in high school playing a MUD, which is multi-user dungeon for the uninitiated, in the days of yore, before proper MMOs were a thing, and the dulcet tones of 56K modems meant that you can now spend 6 minutes downloading a heavily compressed titty pic. Oh, joyous day. They were dark times indeed, but I am glad that I got to see like the rise of the internet. I've been here the entire time. Eventually I'll die and the internet will carry on without me, unless somebody discovers this channel long after I'm already dead, which is a pretty cool thing to think about, I guess. Anyways, before this point, we were on break. I was living largely without internet, and she rightfully felt abandoned by me. I mean, did you let her know what's going? Because I think most people, if they're mature enough, should be like, okay, I understand. Either that, or you say, you know what, that's not gonna work for me, and break it off entirely. But this on-break thing, no. I don't play that. Cell phones were not yet as ubiquitous as they are now, and largely required a decent credit score and a hefty monthly payment. Thank God for burner phones, bro. I used a prepaid cell phone for many years. This wasn't something I could readily help. My meager job didn't net much of a salary, and paying an internet bill at the time just wasn't in the cards. That is, if I wanted to continue to eat. Yeah, eating's good. Even if you're just like subsisting on poverty rolls or chicken rice like Ramtide and I used to do, you gotta eat something. You gotta fuel the machine. Giving up internet to do it, that is a sacrifice, but needs must, I suppose. However, I had recently reestablished an online presence and had saved enough money to do what I called the online Friend Extravaganza. Wow, that sounds super exciting. A trip around the country in my shitty, at the time, Mitsubishi Eclipse to visit many of my online friends who would let me crash on a couch for a weekend, or I'd pay for a cheap motel for a night or two before moving on. Oh, so this kind of paints a picture as to why OP was so eager to just let Mudbeard into his house. I would never do something like this. My buddy Nico the Legend, we still do some Let's Play stuff over on a channel called Let's Plop. Maybe you've seen it. I posted in the Discord a couple times. But yeah, we've known each other for 5, 6, maybe 7 years, and I would still have some trepidation about showing up. I don't know if I can do it. I'm just not that much of a social butterfly in person. But Luca? Apparently he's a braver man than I. I had a short stay with a friend outside of an army base in Texas, and then moved on to Memphis to spend some time with Lily before going on to Maryland to meet someone else. These were like mostly dudes except Lily, right? Are you like going town to town just planting your seeds? Is that where the pimpery comes in? Somehow I think he takes it in like a more literal way. Like, how dare you, ReddX? I'm not a philanderer, okay? I just exchange sex for money. Okay, you've painted a picture now. So I booked a cheap motel and got a hold of Lily to let her know where I was staying. I used prepaid calling cards for the most part to talk with her. During my time in Memphis, I would eventually get a pay-by-the-minute cell phone, 10 cents per text. What a bargain! Oh, God. That's rough. You need to get on a plan of some sort. God damn. This is just yet another small component in the poor tax, okay? If you can afford a plan, unlimited text, do whatever you want. But if you're broke and need a prepaid cell phone, we are going to tax you through the nose. That's horrible. But I digress. When I opened the door to see Lily standing there, I knew I wasn't leaving. I gave it a few days to make sure that I was really sure, and then I told Lily of my plans. She was happy. She still lived with her parents at the time and, frankly, was sick of them. Well, one of them. The plan was for me to get an apartment, and if we hit it off IRL, then we'd live together. So essentially, you are her method of escape, which doesn't seem like a very solid foundation for a relationship, and neither does OP like opening the door and being like, damn, she's hot, I ain't going nowheres. Although I suppose they had been an item online for a while, so maybe I'm only getting just like a small fraction of the picture, but that's my first impression. So off I went, looking for a job. I was young, and with only a high school diploma and a few years as a turnkey at the local jail for experience, my employment options were pretty limited. I don't know, go security guard somewhere. That's a pretty cushy job, isn't it? I also had the distinct aura of a small town hick, which I was. I grew up in an incredibly racist town of 800 people in New Mexico. Oh, New Mexico! It's Ramtide's favorite, and Johnny Hobo and the Freight Train's favorite, I do think. I've never been, and I don't plan to, honestly. The first time I saw an elevator at age 13, I thought it was fucking magic. I'll tell you a secret though. Wifey's still a little bit scared to get on escalators. She's like, hold my hand, hold my hand. It's adorable. Needless to say, I was naive. I landed a shitty job working minimum wage as a security guard. Called it! And I found the only place that would take a stupid young adult with an out-of-state license, no deposit, no credit, and no local employment history. Well, bless them for that. Give a guy a chance, you know what I'm saying? Don't make him regret it, Luca. A 2-story house in Midtown Memphis where rooms were rented. My rate? $400 a month for what amounted to a Harry Potter closet in what I now recognize was a crack house. It was infested with roaches. Yeah, $400 a month, I guess that's what you get, man. That's the saddest goddamn thing in the world. Come to the Philippines, $400 a month, you could get a palace. One of these days I should give you guys like a house tour on Mr. and Mrs. ReddX. That could be interesting, although I know Mrs. is like really self-conscious. She's like, no, it's too dirty. I'm like, it's fine. It's a house. It looks lived in. What do you want? Anyways, here is where my tale begins. Lily, sadly, will have to remain as merely a framing device for this tale, but there may come a day where her tale is told. Yeah, we crossing our fingers for that one. I want to see her leg beardery on full display. Not in the weird way. I would work my shift at my job and come home to dodge bugs and people asking to bum cigarettes. Do you smoke, Luca? I always tell people that ask for a cigarette that I don't smoke, even if I am currently smoking a cigarette at the moment. I'm like, nah, that ain't me. I was one of 2 people in that house with a vehicle. Calling the other vehicle a vehicle was really putting it nicely. I don't know what else you expect from a crack house. Just see a bunch of Benzes lined up out front. That ain't gonna last for long. They're gonna get sold for a nice big rock, and then you boof it. I was saving what pennies I could between having no kitchen and paying $400 a month with a minimum wage job. It wasn't much, but by my math, after 4 months, I could afford a deposit on a decent apartment in her suburb. I'd use the time that I was off work hanging out with Lily, at least when she was off work. We had to either hang out in her car or in my car, as her parents would absolutely not allow a man into their home, despite Lily being in her 20s. I mean, he who has the gold makes the rules, I guess. I got a daughter too. You think her boyfriend's gonna come over and kick it? I don't care how old she is. It's not gonna happen. Go somewhere else. But yes, we would spend the hours that we could be together talking of life, nothing, future plans, our feelings for one another, and endlessly apologizing for not keeping up with her, which honestly, I did. I was mortified. I was in love with Lily, but we had frequent breaks because of the stresses of a long-distance relationship were exceptionally difficult, as they tend to be. The sooner you can get rid of the long-distance part, the better for your relationship, in my experience. Especially for a pair of hormone-addled teens trying to navigate the muddy waters of romance. If Lily was indisposed, I'd be looking for a better job to sustain the apartment that I would be getting. Is that the apartment that you ended up sharing with Mudbeard? I'm sure Lily appreciated you getting it, but probably didn't appreciate you inviting a neckbeard into your midst. About 1 month into my time in that house of wonders, I had gotten to know most of the residents. A few of them never left their rooms, except to sit in a stranger's car for a few moments outside of the house. Yeah, you know what's going on there, don't you? Among them was a wonderfully nice older woman in her late 40s. Every time we passed, she always gave me a warm smile and said hello. We often exchanged niceties when we would cross paths, and once she even made me some collard greens. Not my favorite, but I guess I appreciate the thought. Actually, as a broke person, I would definitely eat the collard greens. We didn't look gift horses in the mouth back in those days, let me tell you what. Those, my dear readers, were the best collard greens that I have ever eaten. And never again shall I dine upon the greened collards, so delicious. She was like the kindly black grandma that I always wanted, but never had. Well, that's beautiful. I can't say that it has ever been a dream of mine, but it takes different strokes to move the world, you know? Truly a delight to be around, and she was always quick with a joke. Her husband was disabled, Reed just didn't want to work, and never left their bed except to walk to the local corner store to buy cigarettes and beer. Aside from that, he watched TV. A real go-getter, I see. She had a job as a hairstylist and went to clients' homes to do their hair, so she was gone almost as frequently as I was. One day, she approached me. Let's call her Pearl. Pearl, hey baby, I hate to ask, but I need a favor. I have a hair appointment today at 4, but my usual ride canceled. Think you can drive me there and hang out until I'm done? Shouldn't take long, and I'll pay you for the gas and a little extra on top, for the time. OP? Okay, yeah, for sure. My afternoon's clear, and I don't mind helping out. And so, off we went, her giving me directions to the client's home, and once there, she climbed out and walked into said client's home. I sat in the car, leaving it on but idle to have that sweet AC running in the humid Memphis summer heat. Good God. About 30 minutes later, she returned, handed me a 20, and directed us back home. I refused the 20 at first, but she insisted, since I was such a help. Eventually, I relented and accepted the money. I'm not gonna lie, $20 was quite a windfall for my savings, and I was secretly thrilled to be a few days ahead in plan apartment. Now, part of me's asking like how all this relates to the story, and then I realized that this probably is the story. She's not doing hair. Unless we're talking about pubic hair. Your apartment was built on prostitution, which I suppose I can't judge you too much for, needs must and all that, but God damn. Hair appointments, huh? A few days later, she made the same request. A hair appointment, ride canceled, extra money for me, and I was more than happy to oblige, again. The extra money was nice, and her hair appointments would only last about 30 minutes. Women's hair does not take 30 minutes. Should have been your first clue, but yeah. He's making money. I guess Luca doesn't really care. He's like, okay, cool. I'm getting paid. I don't ask too many questions. And that's often how I operate too. So I can't say that I would have like tried to call her out or dig deeper into what was actually happening. Just take the money, keep your mouth shut. All told, I was making between $20 and $30 an hour just to drive her to her hair appointments. Soon, this was nearly a daily occurrence. Multiple appointments per day. Wow, she's a very popular hairstylist. I was taking in almost $100 a day, just chauffeuring her around, and even more on days that I was off work. Bruh, quit your job. This is your full-time job. Pimping. All right. My plan to move out was accelerating quickly, but I still hadn't solved the dilemma of having a better job, and once I moved, Pearl wouldn't have an income stream anymore. Still, I was happy to drive her around, and she was happy to give me a bit of her pay. I was glad her business seemed to be going so well. Yes, selling one of the most popular commodities in the world. And I was a little concerned that she could soon afford to move out herself, or even get a car of her own. But these were problems for future OP. Present OP was a happy chauffeur. Bruh, it's not actual pimpery because you don't know what's going on. Chauffeur's a much nicer way to put it. Also will probably put you into much less legal trouble, so let's stick with that title. One day, during a hair appointment with a frequent client, she comes rushing out with a man following behind her. She shoves him into the car, hands me his wallet, and tells me to take him to a strip club or something. He's drunk as hell, and my husband is on his way. Odd. Yes, just the slightest bit odd. I asked his name, and he slurred that he was John. Yeah, quite literal. He is a John. OP. So, John, where do you want to go? Fucking Elwoods. Them strippers let you touch them, baby. Woo! He trailed off and slumped over. Now I'm not just chauffeuring a hairstylist around. Maybe the strippers will break you off too, man. Why not? I had no idea where that was, so I had to stop somewhere to get directions on which strip club called Elwoods to take a drunk stranger to whose wallet was now in my possession. Yeah, this will be the last day for me. The easy money was nice, but this is going more than a little bit off the rails. I'm good. Eventually, after a few stops, we found our way there. It was only a few blocks away, thankfully, and I helped this blackout drunk man out of my car and hoisted him into the club. Thankful that he didn't refund the contents of his stomach onto the floor of my car. That just means you need to drive faster, OP. Hey, come on over. It's time for Crazy Taxi. We opened the doors to the inky blackness of the club and made our way to the bar. Now, I had never been to a strip club before, so this was a core memory and informed a lot of my opinions on strip clubs going forward. That is so unfortunate. It can be a great time. Something tells me that it wasn't a great time for OP, though. If you've ever been to a strip club on a Tuesday afternoon, well, let's just say that that is not their A-team. Don't judge, they gotta make money too now. Now, that's not to disparage sex work at all. I'm very pro anyone getting their bag any way they please, as long as it doesn't harm people. But a strip club on a Tuesday afternoon was a sight. I ain't never been on a Tuesday afternoon. This is an evening activity, and mostly on the weekend, but yeah, Luca's not there by choice. And I think John is too drunk to care about what the ladies actually look like. Almost entirely devoid of patrons, one woman stood on the stage, unenthusiastically undulating to Change by the Deftones. The bartender looked angry that my new charge had arrived, but also looked a little confused and told me to not let him near the stage. It seems that my newfound friend has a reputation. Oh, God. He demanded beers, and I obliged with his card and set up a tab. For a man so blackout drunk, he was apparently sobering quickly. So, who the fuck are you? He asked, still slurring, but with the sharpness of someone about to experience a hangover. OP? My name's OP. I'm Pearl's driver. John? Driver. Oh, I heard about you, boy. You her new pimp. OP? I'm sorry. What? And finally, all the pieces have fallen into place. There were clues all along the way, but yeah, Luca really needs it spelled out for him, I do suppose. I asked for clarification, dumbfounded. I'm her what? John? Pimp, boy. Do I have to spell it out for you? P-I-M-P. OP? I thought she did hair. Pubic hair. It was then that I noticed that this man was rocking the Jean-Luc Picard, if our prestigious captain had gone on a month-long coke bender. She was no hairdresser. She was a prostitute. And I was driving her to her clients. And she was giving me a cut. God damn, dude. I think even after finding out, I would continue. I'd just be like, you know what? The money's good. I don't actually care. I can plead ignorance to all of this. Just keep the money flowing, please, thanks. But yes, it turned out that I was a pimp, however unknowingly. I wish that I could recall the next few hours. I eventually drove the drunk man home. His wallet remained at the club because I was in a daze for a while. Whoopsie. He was gonna go back there anyways, it's fine. The worst crime I'd ever committed to that point was stealing a candy bar and indulging in Cthulhu's cabbage. Bless. The idea that I was participating in illegal sex trafficking was a shock to my system. My brain blue-screened and my body autopiloted until I was back at the crack house, and I was still trying to convince myself that it all wasn't that bad. I mean, it really isn't that bad. I don't know, I guess I get a different spin on it because I'm from California. The sex industry is everywhere, but I mean, I'm just one man, not gonna be able to stop it, so why not turn a little profit while I'm at it, I guess. I walked into the kitchen where Pearl was sitting. Pearl, OP, I can explain, baby. I ignored her, still very much on autopilot, and clutching 2 40s of Steel Reserve in my hands that I must have bought somewhere on the way back home, and I went to my roach-infested room. Yes, alcohol will soothe me. I knocked back both bottles and slept fitfully through the remainder of the afternoon and much of the night. I awoke to light knocking on my door and Pearl's voice ringing out through what was threatening to be a hangover. Pearl, OP, baby, we need to talk. Stop calling me baby. I'm still drunk. 2 40s of Steel Reserve? God damn, I get 140 in me and I'm like, okay, I think I need to throw up somewhere. I'm not a heavy drinker at all. I opened the door and let Pearl in. She sat on my bed and closed the door. Yes, the room was that small. It was pretty much just a walk-in closet with a twin bed stuffed into it. Pearl, I'm sorry for not telling you, but I figured the less you knew, the less you could be in trouble for. You're such a sweet young man, and I will be honest, I've been using you. No, I'm not a hairstylist. I'm a whore. Her words, not mine. I like her. She's blunt, straight to the point. If you don't want to take me to my clients anymore, I understand. I'll try to find someone else. I can't drive because my license is revoked. Taxis also don't really come around to this part of town. Do you think OP continues? I definitely would have continued. I need the money, whatever, just pretend it's not happening. I will feign ignorance towards all of this. I wasn't really surprised by any of this. I was frequently awoken by gunshots in the night. It was honestly horrifying at first. Growing up, I was used to gunshots, but I was a farm boy, so it was always shooting coyotes or other animals threatening a simple farm life. Hearing gunshots in a city meant that a person was getting shot. It kept me awake for 3 straight nights, too afraid to call the police because I was afraid that the shooter might hear me and come for me next. I don't know if she was telling the truth about the taxis, but at the time, I did believe her. I mean, this was a time before Uber. Taxi rates probably are pretty high to get where she needs to go. I bet the taxis do come around and Luca just works cheaper. That's really the only reason that she wants to pull him in, right? That's my working theory anyways. Pearl, I'm so sorry, baby. I know you're probably real mad at me. I had had some time to process my thoughts between my drunken slumber. I was a pimp. An accidental pimp, but a pimp. Just call it a chauffeur. It's easier to digest that way, okay? Drink it down. Fill your pockets with money. Fill your ears with sweet lies. Did I want to continue? Well, here was the dilemma. I knew if I refused to continue driving for her, Pearl would lose a decent amount of her income. If I kept going, there was a non-zero chance that I'd get arrested. Honestly, no matter how much I like Pearl, her problems wouldn't factor into my decision. My decision to continue would be based solely on the fact that I need the money, and I could definitely feign ignorance. As long as Pearl admitted to the cops that she had been lying about it, then that's fine. I'm in the clear, right? Sorry, boys, won't happen again. They let me go home, and after the first time I get caught, I would totally stop. Unless the money was really good. No, I'd stop. So yeah, fuck it. OP says, I want 30%. Now that I know there's risks, so I want 30%. I'll keep driving you, but those are my terms. Pearl laughs. Oh, honey, you was already getting 40%. I'll keep that arrangement, if you don't mind. $50? $50? All right, I guess that is what it is. And with that, I was no longer an accidental pimp. I was an intentional pimp. Or chauffeur. I never got a neat hat, though.
I walk like a pimp, I talk like a pimp, 'cause bitch, I'm a pimp.
We continued our prostitution adventures for a few weeks, me now fully aware of what was going on, and keeping an eye out for the police while I parked and waited in a quiet corner or a nearby parking lot somewhere. And then, well, Hurricane Katrina happened. Oh, snap. That'll definitely put a damper on things. All of a sudden, pimping takes a back seat. The night it happened itself was when I learned that Waffle House has on-site generators to keep the door open even during disasters. I couldn't sleep the night of the hurricane, which by the time it reached Memphis was only a Category 1, and was quickly dwindling to a depression, but it was enough to litter the streets with branches and cut off the power to our home. Off I drove to Waffle House, where they had a TV set up and the news was playing. New Orleans was flooding. Much of southern Mississippi was evacuated. Well, good. I'm glad you're in Tennessee for all of this. Being anywhere in Louisiana, good God. I can't even imagine it. That is horrifying to me. Philippines has like flooding and typhoons and stuff, but where we live, we don't see much of it. Thankfully, that is why we live here. I knew then that Memphis was about to be overrun with people fleeing the devastation. I still didn't have a better job, and though I was fairly cash rich, at least to me I was, I couldn't confirm the source of my additional income to qualify for an apartment. Getting an apartment would be impossible unless I got a legitimate better job, which in my carting around of Pearl for extra cash, the job hunt was put on the back burner. Yeah, that's a catch-22. It's like, do you want to give up this cash now for the promise of a little more cash later on? Legitimate cash that you can use to rent an apartment? Yeah, I don't know. Holding down $100 a day? It's hard to turn your nose up at that, bro. I applied to half a dozen apartments in Lily's suburb. All of them, unsurprisingly, declined me. I was a risk. I had no credit, a minimum wage job, an out-of-state license, all factors that they definitely considered. Staying in Memphis long-term wasn't an option because every place was quickly being rented out so soon that I was faced with a difficult choice that wasn't really a choice. I could stay in the crack house and wait possibly a year or more for the apartment market to ease up and try and find a better job, work on my credit, get a Tennessee license. The odds that I would stay in that crack house unscathed for that long, though, were admittedly pretty low. Yeah, I think you're already pushing your limits. I would probably want to get out of there as soon as possible. A few tenants were already eyeing my car in ways that I didn't enjoy. I thought it over for a few days, but I suppose I couldn't deny fate, so I made the call. Yeah, it is a rock and a hard place, but honestly, I think you're doing the right thing here. Getting out of the way of disaster in more ways than one. It's at least like triple threat disaster. The thing with Pearl, that's definitely going to end badly. Living in a crack house, also going to end badly. Hurricane Katrina, all these new residents, yeah, that's not going to help matters at all. So perhaps it is time to move on to greener pastures. And maybe Lily will follow. Maybe. I told Lily that because of the hurricane, I couldn't stay in Memphis, and I couldn't get an apartment for a long, long time. And I refused to stay in the crack house. She understood, to a degree. She visited me once at that crack house. And frankly, I'm surprised she didn't run away screaming at the sight of the place, much less stay for a few hours in my little closet and watch a shitty movie on the crappy 14-inch TV with me. Yeah, she's a trooper. I'll give her that. She put up with a whole heck of a lot. But I knew from the way that she was speaking, we were once again breaking things off. I had made my arrangements to stay with a friend that I knew online from Tulsa for a little while I got back on my feet. Epilogue. I never knew what eventually became of Pearl. Once I left Memphis, I lost all contact with her. I think that's probably for the best. No ending of that story would be a good one, and I was lucky that I wasn't doing a dime in prison for it. Oh, come on, OP, you would have been fine. Plausible deniability's right there. I didn't know any of that. She said she's a hairstylist. Didn't you say that, Pearl? And hopefully she'd take the hit, not roll over on you completely. But I guess we'll never know. I lived in Tulsa for well over 10 years, and Lily eventually moved to Tulsa to be with me. But that, my friends, is where I will leave this tale of whatever it was off. One day I may recount the ballad of Lily. She was a unique person. I don't think of her much these days, but I do hope that she's doing well, wherever she landed. No apologies for spelling or grammar mistakes. Own your mistakes! God, I love that. I just don't know, man. That sort of money is really hard to walk away from, so I will say that, Luca, you are a man of principles. I think you saw that this wasn't a sustainable thing, and so you're like, all right, I gotta dip before it gets any worse. I would have been out there like quitting my job. You need a full-time driver, Pearl? I'm on it. Doesn't matter. I'll talk to these landlords and be like, look, I'll pay a little bit extra in cash. I know that I'm a risk, but that's what the extra few hundred a month is for, right? Just turn your head the other way. It's gonna be fine, I promise. Maybe, whatever, who cares? It definitely was an interesting story. I don't know if it was a Neckbeard story necessarily. Maybe it was, you know, sweet, innocent Luca being tricked by a sweet, less innocent old lady in order to get rides around. And give rides around, as I do suppose the case is. Good Lord, man. This was a wild ride. I'm glad that we dove into this. I did ask for it as Mudbeard was going on. Eventually we will wrap up Mudbeard as well, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that. But for now, I leave this story with a smile on my face. No, you know, big wrap up or anything at the end, but I am satisfied. I hope that you guys are as well. If you are, I hope that you'll like, comment, and or subscribe on the video. Maybe share it around. I would appreciate that so very much. We got all kinds of links down in the description. Plugs, playlists, podcasts. Yes, indeed. We've also got my social medias, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. Oh, and Twitch. My goodness, I'm doing some Twitch things every once in a while. Still looking to set up a schedule. We'll see how it goes. We've also got my Patreon and my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons, whom I would like to thank very much, as I do every episode. So thank you. Classy Trash Panda, Robert Waits, Camille Sarah, Roxanne Wolf, Simp Jerry, Conrad Ingy, Mawire Jerry, hey, ReddX, tell Landlord Jerry that I'm a big fan of pasta. Go ahead, send Tommy Lasagna. Oh, you won't mess with Tommy Lasagna, I'm telling you. He gonna mash you up. Captain Cloud Jerry, Destiny Piper, Aaron Jerry, Twisted Child, Broken Logic, Esteban, for role-playing sign, Irary feels unwanted, but keeps on fighting anyways. Keep doing it, you can make it. Silent Revolver, the original Jerry, Jerry, Tick Jerry, yeah, that's a new one, or just change his name. Jerry's Kitsune Satori, a Jerry of Jubilee Jubilee Jerry, a Dusty Jargonian Jerry, nailed it. Aspen XO, Assassin Punk Jerry, Bang Bang, Aurora Wildheart, Grizzly, Baby Jerry, Bailey Joy, Bearded Jerry, Bitch Gremlin, Blade the Hero, Blipple Jerry, Catholic Jerry, Commander J Tank, Confederate Jew, going to the Ukraine, Dennis Dayton, Dinosaur Nightly, Disposable Waifu, Dr. Larks, Emergent Jewel, East West 50, Frozen Number Studios, Spider Gypsy, Hey Dream VR, Hey Beautiful, Tinted Jerry here, you left me all red after I showed you my Mall Katana. Was it too small? Mall ninja shit? I can't help falling in love with Jerry. I'm Slim Jerry, I'm the Slim Jerry. Are you the Slim Jerry that just imitating Irish pirate? The Jerrys are always after me, Lucky Charms. Irradiated Jam. Itchy Nuts, just scratch it, bro. A pimp named J. Chris, J.M. Coon, Jerry Blacktail, Jerry Nice, Jerry Evil, Jerry the Outlaw of the Truck of Hong Kong, John Hero, John Jerry, Jingle Hammerschmidt, KJW, Cacao, Cruhy, Landlord Jerry. These rent collection escapades are getting more expensive than the rooms. May need to increase my rate. Everybody else is. Legitimate Earth, Miss Monday, Lord Jerry, like and subscribe. Milady Dix, Melgar the Destroyer, Metro Factor. I'm getting nervous. I'm gonna have to sell my ReddX tees if Teddy coins and marbles don't stop dropping. Imagine if I mint all of the thumbnails as NFTs. Ha. Needless King 89, Nightmare Jerry, Orgamy Steve, hit Jerry with a bag of marbles after catching him cheating with Tom, Paragon Soul, Phantom of the Pines, Princess Jerrykins and Jerry Beth, Queens, Quaaludes and Quagmires, Giggity, Reptile Lacramates, Rose Jerry Miller, TSF Kirby, Sarita the Lolita, Saucy Octopus, Scarlet's Coven, Sergeant Gaycock, oh god, don't do that. Sergeant Gaycop, a bringer of the law. Silo Whip, Stephanie Goodner, Sign Up the Boomstick, Brilliant Tomago, Tapioca Bagaloo, Tato Fair, Tenton Monster, the Italian Greyhound Dino, the Littlest Who, the Tiniest Boy. Wow, it's so small. But the Marble Jerry, no substitutions. Okay, maybe one substitution, because they will hug over there one time, but that's it, for reals. What you Fusky? Trying to find the marble, get back to the real world. You probably don't want to blow into that balloon knot. That balloon knot blows back. Unbusy Bee, V3 Prime, Vanguard Angel, Viking Jerry, Wikitac, Lil Max, Zephyr the Gargoyle, or Clay. A Neckbeard's blocking my path. I'll deal with it. Comrade Mooney, Kira, not another Jerry, Red Winds, Naga Viper, Side Jerry the Cyborg, Saints Blessing, Third Stuff, One Leg Jerry's beating Neckbeards with the fake leg. Normal Jerry, I haven't seen Landlord Jerry for a while, but that Ghost who looks just like him. Anyone good with exorcism? Just come ask Vladimir. Okay, I'm gonna stop that voice now. Hunter of Jerry's, the Barrel Rolling Stacy, it's Tom. Because Tom and Jerry never get along. Admiral T-Tank, Emmer Alder, another stupid hipster, Atomic Jerry Zilla, Babsy Coon, Bartender Kalia, Broken Spine Horseradish, the original different Jerry, that's Cake Jerry, California Jerry Girl, Chevron 7 Lock, Corporal Admiral, Princess Furry, Werewolf, Ooh Jerry, something like that. Crypt Daddies, the Crazy, STI, aka STI Jerry, the Fawn Jerry, creator of colorful click clacks, dopamine dangerous, electrical fennec. First rule of ReddX Inc. Wash your hands. Second rule is do not talk about cutting boards. You can also wash the cutting board while you wash your hands. Never mind. Those develop. God damn it. He cannot. Holy Mary, Jerry, Janet, Jerry. Teddy Coins didn't work out, so I'm headed to Russia for that Putin bounty. Oh yeah, well I'm headed to Canada for that poutine. God damn it. Jeffrey, Geralt of Rivia. Jerry and Tom versus Happy New Year's, Weeaboo Apocalypse. Jerry the Sussy Baka. Jerry's mom has got it going on. Check out the mustache on Jerry Aldo Rivera. Jerry Roxas. Jerry Role-Playing Game, Judge Jerry and Executioner. Keaton Tails. Kid Marvelous. King Tom. Kitsykin, Life of Guardian. Little Air Woods, Lucia Lovecraft. Machia. CD. Maybe next time Milford get Miss Duchess, not Invisible Angel. Patreon has more than one Royal Jerry. Are you sure about that? Raptor Art. She's my Jerry Pie. Could drink a Mountain Dew with a big surprise. I just throw it in there. Doesn't actually say that anymore, but I still want to sing the whole thing sometimes. Snary, that's Nom Jerry. Spoonie the Rogue, Spoopy Scary Jerry tongue is relevant all year round. Techno Dubs. The original Jerry. He's not. Don't listen. The X card. To Infinite Jerry and beyond. We on the way. To Infinite Jerry. Unfortunate Jerry is screaming at Nuki's latest magical girl transformation. Make it stop! I have no power here. Tom Promise Jerry swears. Oh, bad Jerry. Tommy, good boy. Those swears, facts, size. Go ahead and look it up. I mean, another ReddX video. Also, thank you to my $1 patrons. Beautiful people that they are.
All those beautiful people make my world turn. If you would like to join them, I hope that you will not hesitate. But if you can't do it right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe like watching some more ReddX videos. Good idea. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I shall see you in the next one, and until then, bye-bye.